Psalm 16 says it is a miktam of David. You know what a miktam is? Neither do I, and neither does anybody. Nobody knows what the word miktam really means. There's varying opinions, but there are about 6 or 7 psalms that start that way. And so the best anybody can, conjecture is that it's simply a kind of psalm that David had in mind. They all refer and end on a high note of joy. Maybe that's something. But we'll have to wait till heaven to find out what miktam means for sure. Let's read the psalm together. I'm just going to read it with you today. It's 11 verses, and then we'll unfold it in the coming days. It really breaks kind of into 2 pieces, 2 parts. The first part is about a servant choosing to be faithful to God, and the second part is the servant unfolding how God is faithful to him. And so it really tears down idols of our own making. And not that we believe in beings, other beings. We know that there is no other God, but we sometimes allow God's gifts, God's blessings and goodness to become idols in and of themselves. Things that we love more than him. Things that we live for more than him. Things that we feel that we have to have more than him. And this is a psalm where the servant is saying, God, you're all I want. You are my greatest joy. I'm finding my deepest longings in you, and then God's faithfulness is unfolded. Here it is, Psalm 16:1. Preserve me, O God, for in thee do I put my trust. O my soul, thou hast said unto the Lord, thou art my Lord. My goodness extendeth not to thee, but to the saints that are in the earth, and to the excellent, in whom is all my delight. Their sorrows shall be multiplied that hasten after another God. Their drink offerings of blood will I not offer, nor take up their names into my lips. The Lord is my portion. The Lord is the portion of mine inheritance, and of my cup. Thou maintainest my lot. The lines are fallen unto me in pleasant places. Yea, I have a goodly heritage. I will bless the Lord. Now see the turn here. Up to verse 6, God, I'm faithful to God. I'm choosing God. He's my God. Look at verse 7. I will bless the Lord who hath given me counsel. My reins also instruct me in the night seasons. I've set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be moved. Therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoiceth. My flesh also shall rest in hope. For thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One to see corruption. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures evermore. The psalm is a messianic psalm in the sense that it points to Jesus. Thou wilt not leave my soul in hell, neither wilt thou suffer thine Holy One. If you notice, there's capitals there, Holy One, to see corruption. Who's the Holy One? Jesus is. He is our perfect mediator, our perfect sacrifice. He came to be the Holy One who died for us, but was not left in death, left in the grave, and never committed a single sin. So 11 verses of David rejoicing, David celebrating his decision to belong to God, his decision to know God, to follow God, to lay aside and not partake in the idols of his culture and his day. Now, we'll unfold this in the coming days, but all around you is idolatry. All around you are the idols of our culture. In 21st century America, they would be notoriety, money, sex, pleasure, materialism, and individualism. Those are probably the top 5 or 6 idols of our day. And we as believers are constantly preached to by our culture to worship, to bow down, to live for, to pursue, to love those idols. And my friend, it is the call of the Christian to worship the greater God and the greater Lord, because anything you love more than Jesus, will bring you into bondage and will set you up for disappointment and will only lead you to wreckage. And what's sad is that the things we tend to elevate to become idols or ultimate things, in the proper order, as Jonathan Edwards wrote, the proper ordering of our affections, okay, under the lordship, the direction, and subjection to Jesus, then they become, for the most part, wonderful gifts of God that bring delight and joy into our lives. So, for instance, there's nothing wrong with having a reputation. There's nothing wrong with having money. A lot of it or a little of it, neither one is sinful. There's nothing wrong with having pleasure. God created pleasure. He is the source of pleasure. He's the giver of good pleasures. There's nothing wrong with sex within God's boundaries. He's the author of sex. He created it. So within the boundaries of God's directives and God's creation, these things are good things. Individualism. God made us as individuals, but He didn't make us as our own selves. We don't belong to ourselves. We are unique. We have individualism, but we are not autonomous individuals. We are not our own. And so when we go after these idols and leave God or lower God or lessen Him in our lives, we are headed for discouragement and despair and letdown. But when we properly order them as gifts from God, then they are wonderful things. They're gifts. They're good things. They're blessings under the supremacy of the lordship of Jesus in our lives today. So my friend, the greatest joy is not in what you think you want, but it's in who created what you think you want and who created the desire for it. So look to Jesus more than anything and everything else today. Happy Wednesday. See you tonight, or we'll see you tomorrow.